All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna see if its Google search, local and city Google search, has BSS, yes or no. So we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that pinned video, pinned post, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph down below here in white. Got our highest intent peeps. Over on the left is a peep searching for, boudoir photo shoot in my city, and they're searching that today, things like that. And so people are easiest convert, closest to the money, and we make a video. The videos we make are about BSS, kind of first getting found by these peeps. And over on the right, we got our lowest intent peeps. So we talk about over with our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, and right now we're currently only working with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. 0 slots means we're dying pretty fast because that means we're on page 2 or deeper if we got 0 slots page 1. And we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. So approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 and done searches. And that means we're invisible to approximately 80% of the market if we're on page 2 or deeper. And that means our business will be down pretty fast. Also, 1 slot on page 1, that ain't good enough anymore because every other boudoir photographer on page 1 is basically going to have 1 slot. And there's 10 organic slots. So if we got 1, there's going to be 9 other boudoir photographers there. We're not sending it out. We're not looking special. We're not looking differentiated. And as a result, boudoir photographers actually, or boudoir buyers, they're just going to click to all 10 people's website, opens everyone's website, submit a contact form for everyone, get a quote from everyone. And as a result, everyone's going to get price shopped, compared to death, price shopped to death. We have no pricing leverage, pricing power, just because there's so many options. And this is what approximately 80% of buyers do. The other, they're just page 1 only. So, we really only got to worry about the peeps on page 1 for approximately 80% of buyers. Now, 0 1 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. So it's not normal to have such a small number of slots page 1 Google search as a boudoir photography business owner. It's common, it's accepted, but it's not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And those 2 deeper root causes are 1, market saturation, and 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, with market saturation, what actually happens is the kind of over time, more boudoir photographers enter the market. Normally it's because people upgrade their gear, they get a new iPhone, an awesome camera, or new camera itself. They just decide I'm going to throw up a Google My Business profile saying they shoot boudoir now, or they get a website created, say they're now a boudoir photographer, or they're posting the mom groups on Facebook saying they now for boudoir photo shoots. So it's more boudoir photographers in the market competing for the same number of buyers, and as a result, we actually run out. We basically kind of get out competed. It's just harder for every other boudoir photographer that's in the market. Now, there's 2 deeper root causes. First one, market saturation. Yeah, I did that. But the most important one is this new one, the false belief of page 1 equality. So this is something boudoir photographers kind of auto-accepted, haven't really thought about. But many have felt that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slot page 1 on Google. And as a result, maybe their website was, page 1 slot 7. And some new boudoir photographers entered the market. And then their link, their boudoir photographer basically link got pushed down to page 2 slot 2. So they're saying like, man, I help those people delete their websites and Google brings me back up onto page 1. But this is 100% the wrong mentality. Google actually allow us and wants us to take as many page 1 slots on Google as possible as we're willing to put in the effort to take and acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days. So I know Google literally will give us as many slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire, which means the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. We also know that boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. So yeah, when you only got 0 1 slots page 1 Google, disappearing boudoir photographer, because if we got 0 slots page 1, we're on page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. If we got 1 slot page 1, we're still basically invisible. because we got one slot, same as the other 9 competitors on the page. So yeah, we're getting form fills, but probably 10% or less of those are converting. And this is kind of the disappearing boudoir photographers, kind of the warning sign, the warning symbol, the canary in the coal mine, saying that now our boudoir photography business itself is on the path to, is actually on the path to disappearing. But thankfully, we have discovered a solution. We've discovered that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And I mean, it works exactly as the name says. We saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, so we show up there in as many placements as possible. And this is kind of like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains down in South America. The snow on the east side, the backside of those mountains. So what happens to that snow is it melts into small streams, flows into small streams and then small rivers, and eventually all the melted snow collects into the large Amazon River. And that large Amazon River, that's page 1 of Google search. So we gotta get the snow up top first, top of the mountain, so it can melt and come down, and that is S-cube methodology, is getting that snow up there. Everything flows from S-cube methodology. And what's interesting is this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can enable boudoir photography business to still have a chance to grow, even in a ever saturating, boudoir photography marketplace in a relatively quick, and give that opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. The only other solution that gives that same benefit of enabling business to grow in a saturated marketplace that I've seen that is as strong as S-cube methodologies is having a large, well-known brand. But dude, that takes 5 to 8, for like 5 to 10 years. That is, that's way longer than our, S-cube methodology to kind of get that power to grow. And dude, we ain't got 5 to 10 years anymore. No, dude, AI is here. We do not have 5 to 10 years to wait anymore. We need to be building momentum now. And interesting, one of my estimates is that using S-cube methodology, my estimate is it'll actually enable boudoir photographers to, basically acquire and have a large, well-known brand in their area, approximately 8x faster than normal methods. It's because, we're being seen way more, higher volume, higher frequency, and more surfaces, more touch points. And so that's kind of my own estimate. And an example here, S-cube methodology, we are going to LA. Let's say we're in LA and there are 1 million boudoir photographers there. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they shoot boudoir. And so, over a million websites trying to rank page 1 Google search, ultra competitive. And we ain't got no large, well-known brand. So we've decided, man, our only hope here is S-cubed methodology. So we fire it up and we crank it to the max. So let's say we crank it to the max and we take literally the first 300 slots across all the social searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. And then we also take the, let's say those flow onto Google search at a, and we take the first 300 slots Google search. Well, 10 Google slots per page. So we're taking out literally the first 30 pages on Google. And so when a boudoir buyer searches for anything related to, high intent with boudoir in our city, we're basically the only one that comes up when they search on social, when they search on Google. So if, they got to go to slot basically 301 to find any of our competitors. So if that's the case, what is the whose business will most likely be growing in this situation? Probably ours, utilizing S-cube methodology. Whose businesses will likely be failing? Slowing down, disappearing, failing, going invisible. Most likely the other 999,999 other boudoir photography competitors in our city, because we're basically the only one buyers can find. So this is kind of a, kind of the most extreme example of what S-cube methodology could enable for a boudoir photography business. Now, once you're with S-cube methodology, we now have page 1 visibility, P1V. And yeah, initial benefit, we get more slots page 1 on Google, cool. And every new slot we get page 1 on Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. And when we make them invisible, they're page 2 or deeper, invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. That means we can basically control, through our effort, how many of our competitors would kick off, make them disappear in boudoir photographers, and make their boudoir photography business, be on the path to disappearing. So a lot of boudoir photographers actually like this initial benefit. And page 1 visibility actually is boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. So this is where the GBC universe recommends having a minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google search. Because when we have these, basically everyone else can have 1 slot, all the other competitors. So we're going to be dominating them with our 3 slots. And the ultra rare scenario where someone has 2 slots, well, we got 3 slots, we're still dominating them. So allows us to dominate in basically all scenarios. And finally, we know that Boudoir photographer with BSV, Boudoir search visibility, is a visible Boudoir photographer, a VBP. So we got a micro universe here. A disappearing Boudoir photographer with Boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. That's fine. We now have the solution, S cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible Boudoir photographer with Boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results utilizing S cubed methodology. So I wanted to dominate page one for this keyword, BLCS Boudoir. So I strictly use S cubed methodology. That's my results. Got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So I actually I was able to go from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days, purely by utilizing S cubed methodology. And now to the main event here. Going to see if this boudoir photography business has, we're going to see if it has BSS for its one lone Google search here. Looks like we combined local and city. Search for this one. All right. So here we go. Goshen, Indiana. All right, they got 1 slot, 2 slots. All right, 2 out of 10 slots. All right. So BSS is not present, but they did not hit the recommended minimum of the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 Google Page 1 slots. But hey, at least I don't have BSS. That's kind of the first thing we got to solve. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning, you've went and you've done your local search, your city search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. You noticed you either had BSS, so you have BSS for, either one or both of those searches, or you are, you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google for, again, either 1 or 2 of those slots. And you've accepted that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. And you've actually seen Google will actually give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire. So you're saying, okay, now SQ methodology makes sense, and you're seeing that this is the only path forward for yourself, and you've actually been waiting for something like this. And you're liking the initial benefits more, page 1 links on Google. You're liking the second initial benefit, which is actually like the second one a little bit more, which is you're able to kick your competitors off of Google, make them invisible, page 2 and deeper. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, more, new gear eventually over time. More people hop on to become boudoir photographers, so it gets harder and harder over time. But you're looking ahead and you're like, man, AI is currently taking people's jobs. And last time people lost jobs, COVID, a new flood of boudoir photographers came in because everyone's got a smartphone with a great camera. So it's easy to start saying shoot boudoir down now, offer it cheaply, kill margins for everyone. While later competing boudoir photographers kind of just annoy, basically like take up slots page 1 on Google. And so you're seeing, okay, you're seeing more and more people are going to be entering the marketplace above and beyond the people getting new gear, forced to because of losing their job due to AI. So you're like, okay, we need to actually fortify our slots on page 1 and actually have so many backup links that Google wants to rank us on page 1. But since there's only 10 slots, literally it cannot rank us anymore. But those backup slots will literally be like preventing current competitors from ever ranking on page 1 or any future competitors from ranking on page 1. Kind of like fortifying the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city is below sea level, fortifying against the ocean. So you're seeing, okay, you got to fortify, and you're like, oh, SQ methodology will give me that future benefit as well. That's the exact perfect tool to use to achieve that goal. And you want to achieve page 1 visibility. You want to become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you need these things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also looking ahead to the future and the future benefits that we haven't talked about yet of utilizing SQ methodology, which is, we're kind of building these invisible thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, our website name, our business name, our name, kind of out there on the internet. And it's kind of like, columns to the, Parthenon, Athens, Greece, or, the spokes into our hub, like them in, the center of a bike tire. Our business name's the hub. So we've got all of these columns plugged into us. And what this is like building AI mindshare for those keywords: age, relevance, frequency, authority, repetition. So we're building AI mindshare for these keywords. And every day we successfully do this, which is exactly what SKU methodology does, we are increasing the probability would be recommended here in the most premium placement AI overview up at the top of Google search, which we cannot pay for with ads to get. And so you're seeing that benefit, you're liking that feature benefit. You're also understanding that, well, if it's helping with that, it will also increase probability of every single day of being recommended on AI search, ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. You're recognizing the more kind of invisible thematic keyword columns you plug into your brand, the higher and higher probability every single day recommended to searchers on those platforms. And yeah, Google still owns approximately 90% of global search, but dude, AI search is growing every single day, and Google's kind of slowly decaying every single day. Standard Google search. So you're recognizing that you want these benefits, and you're also recognizing, since my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, you can actually box out your competitors from ever using this strategy, get all the benefits against them, the two immediate benefits, the three future benefits, and the fourth one would be, grown actually a known brand, approximately 8x faster than conventional methods. And you would, you're recognizing you could actually put massive distance between yourself and any of your current competitors or any future competitors, where basically you get so far ahead, there's like literally basically no chance for them to catch up. And as a result, when you actually want to, since you've decided to be first mover on this, because you understand if a competing boudoir photographer hops on this first, then you'd be locked out. You'd be getting kicked off page one of all the highest intent Google searches. They'll get to page two and deeper, where approximately 80% of the market will never ever see you because they're page one and done searches. And we would actually be making up massive progress against you, boxing you out from ever getting on page one. And me and your competitor would be building up massive momentum and invisible thematic keyword column back-end AI mindshare, kind of invisibly with the AI search recommenders. And I remember last time I did AI search for boudoir photographers in a city with ChatGPT, and recommended me 3. And I actually went and did manual search Google and Facebook simply to see how many are actually out there. Dude, there's like 60. So you're seeing, yeah, we definitely gotta find some way to get on these AI searches. And you actually want, you're saying that if a competitor is making all this momentum, then making all this progress, and you're frozen out, you'd actually have to rederive SQ methodology yourself, or drive it for the first time. You would never actually trust that you've derived it 100% correctly, but then you'd have to execute same amount as us every single day. And if you did all that, you'd simply be maintaining the gap between your competitor and me and you. So you'd have to actually double or triple our effort, our output every single day. And then if you were to do that, then you could steal back some of the AI mindshare momentum from us, get some links. But you would never feel 100% confident you've even derived the strategy correct in the first place. So you'd probably not even feel confident putting in the time to do all that. Out execute us 2 to 3x every single day. And plus, who's got 80 hours a day to do that? So you decide to screw that. You decide to be the first mover in your city, block out all your competitors from using this strategy. And if that's you, shoot me a DM. The hospital is currently closed for new patients, but when I do open the hospital up for new patients, shoot us a DM, and we'll see if you qualify to use our S cubed methodology.